Well, could an October cyber surprise prove problematic for Hillary Clinton's presidential campaign? More than 19,000 emails have been released so far by WikiLeaks, all of them from the DNC. Those led to the ouster of several Democratic Party officials. Now the website is saying it's going to send out more as the election approaches. Watch.
You expect that, I know you can't comment directly about the pending email releases from WikiLeaks, but you expect more about the Clinton Foundation?
Yes.
Do you believe she can win, given the emails you've so far not
Can she win the election? That's an interesting question. I wouldn't be willing to say so far. The evidence that the FBI has is enough for a grand jury to indict.
That's Julian Assange, of course, one of the creepiest people on planet Earth. The question is, what would the Clinton campaign do if more shocking revelations are made public by WikiLeaks, and how is the White House bracing for another email dump, assuming one is on the way? Democratic strategist Chuck Rocha joins us now. He's been around, and he has perspective. Chuck, it's great to see you this morning.
Thank you, Tucker.
How ominous is this for the Hillary campaign?
So when you run campaigns, and I just came off a presidential campaign, as you know, Tucker, you spend hundreds of thousands of dollars doing research not only on your opposition, but on yourself, because what you don't want in any campaign for any party is a surprise, because you can't get out ahead of it fast enough as we come into 94 days before the election to actually create a narrative to make sure that it don't stick to you, whatever may come out. So it's the worst nightmare for any party, and especially for somebody whose trustworthy numbers are as low as Hillary's are right now.
Now, I just want to be completely clear that I don't think Republicans should be gloating about this, because people's emails ought to be secure. The U.S. government ought to be protecting them. They're not. This is a nightmare for everybody who sends email. On the other hand, is the Hillary campaign really justified in blaming Russia for this, attempting to divert attention to a foreign government and away from the content of the emails themselves?
Whether it's right or wrong, it's campaign tactic 101. As I said, when you run this, you want to shift and you want to pivot. You want to put the focus on something else, whether you're her, whether you're Donald Trump, or you're running for state rep in East Texas. You want to be able to pivot and say, look, it's not me. Look at all this crazy stuff going over here. Look at the shiny object, because that's campaigning 101, because you're supposed to stay on your message.
So we're about the same age, Chuck, and we both grew up in a world where the Democrats were constantly accusing Republicans of red baiting, of using Russia as a scare tactic to crush dissent. All of a sudden, the world seems to have flipped around, and the Democratic Party is warning us about how dangerous Russia is. What is that?
I think that's funny. On Friday, a group that I work for, a nonprofit group that is loosely tied to Clinton's campaign, got hacked. And got hacked. The first thing I saw was a Politico article, knowing that being campaigns myself, they had already got out in front of this. They'd already created a Politico article talking about how Russia now, because of some hacks at the DNC, had gotten all their emails. Don't open any emails from me. That's getting in front of that. I think as the American people get closer to Election Day, they want facts. They want to figure out who they want to be with, whether it's Trump or whether it's Hillary. And I think all this sideline stuff is nonsense, and people should make their own facts that are out there.
That's right. And final question, I wonder if this stuff will have an effect on Hillary, though, in the end, because is there anyone who's voting for Hillary because they believe that she's trustworthy and honest?
That's interesting that you say that. I think there's two huge pockets of people out there. Lots of people who don't trust Hillary and lots of people who don't like Donald Trump.
Right.
What we find with targeting is that there's not a very big middle out there of undecideds on either one. So it's a super small sliver of the American electorate right now who is what we call undecided.
Huh. It must be pretty darn small. I haven't even met one, actually.
There's not many.
Not many. Chuck Rocha, thanks a lot this morning for that perspective.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.